Let's talk about something you've probably seen 1,000 times, but maybe never really thought about: the DOI. In this explainer, we're going to break down what a digital object identifier is and why it's honestly a crucial piece of the puzzle holding our digital world together.
We've all been there, right? You're deep into some research, you find what looks like the perfect citation, you click the link, and bam! 404, page not found. It is so frustrating. It's a complete dead end, and it just shatters that chain of knowledge you were following.
You know, this problem actually has a name. It's called link rot. And it's more than just a little annoyance for academics. Imagine a huge public health policy that's based on a specific study, but a year later, nobody can find that study because the link is dead. See, originally, research was just tied to regular URLs, and when websites get redesigned or content moves, those links break, and that vital information, well, it pretty much vanishes into thin air.
This comparison really nails the core issue. A URL is just a temporary, kind of flimsy address for a location on the web. But a DOI, that's a permanent, solid identifier for the document itself. That's the game-changing shift right there. Instead of pointing to a place that can move, you're pointing directly to the thing itself.
So let's meet the hero of our story. The DOI, the Digital Object Identifier, was created specifically to solve this whole link rot problem by giving every single piece of scholarly work its own permanent, unchangeable address on the internet.
And here's the key idea. A DOI is just a unique string of characters assigned to things like articles, datasets, reports, you name it. Its one and only job, its most important job, is to make sure that content can always be found, not just today, but tomorrow and even decades from now. Now, you might look at a DOI and think it's just a random mess of numbers and letters, but there's actually a very logical system behind it. Let's kind of peek under the hood and see how it pulls off that permanence we keep talking about.
Okay, so here's a pretty standard DOI. It might look a little technical, but I promise its structure is incredibly simple. It's really just made of two key parts that work together.
And here's the breakdown. That first part, the prefix, tells you who published the content. So in this case, that 10.1016 points to a specific publisher. Then you have the second part, the suffix, which is a totally unique identifier that the publisher assigns to that one specific article. No other article in the world will ever have this exact same combination.
Now here's where the magic happens. When you stick https://dolly.org right in front of that DOI, it turns into a link. But here's the cool part. Unlike a regular URL, this link doesn't go straight to a website. It goes to a central DOI directory that then redirects you to wherever the article is currently living. So if the publisher moves the article to a brand new website tomorrow, they just update the directory one time, and your link, it still works perfectly.
And this simple system ends up being way bigger than just fixing broken links. It has a massive impact on the credibility of research. We're not just talking about convenience here, we're talking about building a stable, reliable foundation for all of human knowledge.
I mean, for researchers, the benefits are huge. A DOI makes a paper more credible because you know it's verifiable. It makes sure citations are accurate and that they'll actually work years down the road. It helps search engines and databases find and index content properly, and of course, it completely solves that link rot problem for good. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? The entire mission, the whole point of the DOI system, is to guarantee that the knowledge we create today will still be there, still be accessible for the people who need it in the future. It's really a promise of permanence in a very, very impermanent digital world.
Okay, so now you know why they're so important. Let's get practical. How do you actually find and use these things in your own work? And hey, let's bust a couple of common myths while we're at it.
Finding a DOI is usually super easy. Most of the time, it's printed right there on the first page of the article's PDF. If not, the journal's website is the next best place to look. You can also use a lookup tool like Crossref, or, and this is my personal favorite trick, just search the article title plus the word DOI in Google Scholar. It works like a charm almost every time.
All right, let's tackle myth number 1. There's this common idea that if something has a DOI, it must be from some high-quality, super prestigious source.
But the reality is way simpler. A DOI is just an identifier. Think of it like a license plate for a document. It tells you what it is and where to find it, but it tells you absolutely nothing about the quality or the impact of the research itself. And here's the second myth that we really need to bust. This idea that DOIs are only for content that's locked away behind an expensive paywall.
Yeah, that is just completely not true. Open access journals, free reports, public datasets, all of them can have DOIs, and they often do. Remember, the goal is discoverability and permanence for all scholarly content, not just the stuff you have to pay for.
So after all that, what is the one thing you should really remember about the digital object identifier? Let's boil it all down to a single powerful idea.
This is it, right here. The best way to think about a DOI is as a fingerprint. It is unique to one specific piece of content, and it will never, ever change. It is simply the most reliable way we have to identify and find a specific piece of information online.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. The DOI did an amazing job solving the problem of disappearing articles. But we live in a world where data, entire websites, even whole platforms can vanish overnight. It really makes you wonder, what's the next great challenge for preserving our knowledge? And what will the next DOI even look like?